What's good, you guys? You know who it is, man. It's your boy, Mr. Relentless Lex, and I'm back like I never left this mother. Yes, Sirski. All right, man. So we got Katt Williams, CRUCIFIES Marjorie Harvey, God Don't Like Ugly video. Now, if y'all don't know who Marjorie Harvey is it Marjorie or Marjorie? Tomato, right? But it's Steve Harvey's wife, bro. I think she's a thot, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Her two, before Steve, bro, she had two husbands, if I'm not mistaken, that was cousins or brothers or something like that. And they both been in the drug game. So she been lacking that bread, you feel me? She been lacking that bread. She came into a show, Steve saw it, boom. Steve said, I'm gonna marry you one day. That's what he did. But I think she's puppeting Steve, though. I ain't gonna hold you. I think she's controlling Steve. And Steve is just that weak. Boy, I tell you. Let's get to the video, chat.
Weird face wife that never do an interview.
Oh, man,
listen, in 20 years won't do an interview.
He finally realized, okay, I gotta say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry her.
When you met Steve, he was already married. And you walk in late to his show, late. You walked in late for a reason, for the attention, huh?
Oh, wow. So that makes sense, bro. She came late on purpose so Steve can see her and only her. Because if she would have came in with a crowd, maybe he wouldn't have noticed her at the time. Strategic already. Money play.
Knowing you, he said, I'm gonna marry you. Girl, who you done call? Oshun, Ugly Fred Eye?
So Steve Harvey thought it was gangsta to throw some dusty, recycled shade at Katt Williams again. And now Katt is dragging Steve's wife Marjorie through the mud. And honestly, he's making a lot of sense. So according to Katt, Marjorie is the one pulling the strings. She's the puppet master and keeps Steve on her fingertips and training her daughter Lori how to sustain that lifestyle using men. And the reason Steve is still running his mouth about Katt is because Marjorie told him to. Apparently, Marjorie is still bitter that Katt exposed that contract Steve allegedly signed to secure himself a light-skinned, weird-face wife. And now Steve's out here throwing shade at Katt with Marjorie's hand up his back like a ventriloquist dummy. So let's talk about this. Is Marjorie really this evil genius manipulator pulling every string from the shadows? Or is she just a glorified groupie who played the long game?
If I had a chance to talk to Katt about anything, I would just ask him what's wrong. Just what's wrong?
It's been over 2 years since Katt Williams' legendary Club Shay Shay interview, and Steve Harvey is still talking about it. When the interview went viral, Steve actually threatened Katt and said he'd shoot his perm straight out of his head.
Don't get off the wall to dress some pity idiot boy who ain't got going for himself. Now you can stop your climb.
Bro, Katt do got a lot going for himself, my boy. He just now did another special. Another special, bro. Katt still working, Steve. So what you talking about?
So you can come down here and talk to his little punk. Don't do that, man. I stay away from it. Now, do I want to? Yes. Because I'm a human being and I'm hood. I used to be a fighter and I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on that real stuff, I can still knock your one.
Not Katt, what Steve said, bro, if you want to take it there, bro, you like 60-something years old, maybe. He's offering Katt Williams a fight. He said, I still got hands, but they swole. Bro, that crazy.
I just don't have the quickness out here, but I still want to turn my hip and away, and I knock your shot out. I shoot your perm straight out.
So yeah, Katt clearly touched a nerve with his comments. But here we are 2 years later, and Steve is still mad. During his recent appearance on the Pivot podcast, Steve talked about Katt again and claimed that Katt is just bitter and jealous that he's not on his level.
The social media fodder was upset with you for the way you finally responded to him. Mm-hmm. They said they felt like what he said about you was true because of the nature of your reaction.
Oh, well, see, first of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out there. But they can like really kiss most of the corners of my ass. Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. That just don't mean it's true, man. Cause we not in the same league, dog. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing. I think that's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief. You're grieving because obviously all them people you talking about have something you either want or are something that you ain't. And you're grieving, and the funeral becomes the podcast. So now let me roast.
But hold up. If Steve thinks Katt is just jealous of his success, why did he get so triggered? He publicly threatened to knock Katt out over—
First of all, bro, he know Katt is not jealous. Katt been doing this for a long time, bro. And you have too, though, Steve. But the thing about it is, when everything Katt said on Shay Shay podcast, it damn near came to light. It came to pass. You can't knock Katt for that, bro. But the way you try to defend yourself, Steve, is like guiltiness, bro. You need to cut that mustache off for one, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm tired of looking at that big caterpillar up there, your lip, bro.
for his
Dang,
comments.
I'm tired
and
of
you
sitting
don't
there
do that
caterpillar
unless
with
you
your
are insecure. Well, here's where Marjorie comes into the picture. Because according to an insider close to the Harvey family, it's actually Marjorie who made Steve publicly address Katt and threaten him. And allegedly, it's all because of what Katt said about how comedians who want to make it big in the industry have to sign up for the program. And that program included a light-skinned, weird-face wife.
If you sign up for their program, you get a light-skinned, weird-faced wife that never do an interview. Listen, in 20 years won't do an interview. Nobody's ever talked to her, and that she's never been interviewed anywhere. And now, understand, I'm not talking about one person. What I just told you applies to 7 people. How they all end up with that. That's part of what you get. I came in this business saying I was going to expose.
And then Katt also brought up how Steve left his first wife in the dirt for Marjorie. But now he wants to act like Marjorie is the one who was with him when he had nothing.
Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
These days, Marjorie Harvey loves to flaunt her lavish lifestyle on social media and mingle with A-listers and billionaires. However, before she met Steve, Marjorie wasn't anywhere near private jets or designer bags. She was living a whole different reality. But then one day, she locked eyes with Steve at a Memphis comedy club, and Steve swears it was destiny the second he saw her.
So I came late, came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here, the stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry her.
They clicked right away, but after a few weeks together, Marjorie dipped because his bank account wasn't hitting back then. Now fast forward to 2005, and they find each other again. But this time, Steve has a hit sitcom under his belt, and suddenly, Marjorie's ready to give him another shot. And here's another messy part. Steve was already married to his second wife, Mary Shackelford, and Mary later spilled that Steve was cheating on her with Marjorie the whole time before the divorce was even final.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing.
And it gets even nastier.
That's
Mary
crazy.
said Steve took their son Winton with him and then brainwashed the kid against her, twisted things in court, and left her with absolutely nothing.
He took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me, had me evicted from our house.
What?
Thrown out. All the businesses, all the money, the cars. At a moment when I was down and devastated.
Bro, that's crazy.
He maneuvered everything. He maneuvered He manipulated the courts, everything against me.
But Steve was never the mastermind. That was all Marjorie. They say she mapped out the whole thing and talked Steve into icing out his own ex-wife completely. On top of that, Marjorie reportedly told Steve to paint Mary as crazy in the press. And Steve, he ran with it. He started gaslighting Mary hard, calling her bitter and toxic, and even claimed she was the one damaging their son. Katt saw this coming from a mile away.
The part that's hurtful in here is my wife and children have to be drugged into this. You know, if you're gonna be vindictive, then go ahead and just aim it at me. But my son is coming in the room crying, and that's also her son. So why you would do this?
But no matter how hard Steve and Marjorie tried to spin it, people weren't buying it. Marjorie instantly became one of the most hated wives in Hollywood. But that's not even the shadiest chapter in Marjorie's history. Before she became Mrs. Harvey, she'd already been down the aisle twice. Her first husband was a kingpin named Jim Townsend, and word on the street is—
I said that earlier, right? I told you she was with that money. She liked dope boys, bro. Before Steve. Steve is nothing like her exes, bro. Far, far away from what she's used to.
Marjorie wasn't just sitting at home playing wifey. She was reportedly knee-deep in his dirty business. Sources say the FBI and DEA had Marjorie on their radar, and they allegedly told Jim to flip and cooperate, or else Marjorie was going down because they had substantial evidence of her own criminal activity. Jim eventually agreed to cooperate with the authorities, but he still got indicted for trying to buy 40 kilos of that nose candy. He ended up with life in prison, served 26 years, until Obama gave him a pardon in 2017. As for Marjorie—
wow, bro, this guy been a big kingpin, bro. 46 kids is major. Barack Obama had to give him a pardon. Bro, hold on, let's go back to that. He was serving life. He did 26 years. He had that bread. If you own 46 kids, you got that bread, bro.
With the authorities, but he still got indicted for trying to buy 40 kilos of that nose candy.
40.
He ended up with life in prison, served 26 years, until Obama gave him a pardon in 2017. As for Marjorie, she walked away scot-free, no charges, just filed for divorce less than 5 years into Jim's sentence and dipped. But here's where it gets extra messy. Right after dumping Jim, Marjorie started dating his cousin, Donnell Woods, and he also happened to be a dealer. By the way, Donnell is Lori Harvey's biological father. Marjorie married Donnell sometime in the early 2000s. Now, if the timeline's making your head spin, it should, because Steve and Marjorie swear they met in the late 90s, dated briefly, then found each other again in 2005, which basically means both of them were likely cheating on whoever they were with at the time. Anyway, once Marjorie locked back in with Steve and saw his star was about to explode, she dropped Donnell like a bad habit. And what happened to Donnell? Same thing as Marjorie's first husband. He was arrested, charged, and he actually just got out of prison recently. So Steve and Marjorie finally tied the knot in June 2007, and Steve adopted all 3 of Marjorie's kids, Morgan, Jason, and Lori. Meanwhile, Steve already had 4 biological children of his own. Fast forward to today, and these two love playing relationship gurus on TV, constantly talking up their beautiful, blended family. But insiders are saying that household is way more fractured than they let on. One source recently spilled to Radar Online that there's major tension behind closed doors, because Marjorie is obsessed with shoving Lori into the spotlight and trapping her with a famous husband, all while practically ignoring her other kids. The same source said Marjorie rules the roost completely, and apparently she's the one teaching Lori exactly how to play the dating game. On top of all that, we're now hearing that Michael B. Jordan never trusted Marjorie from the jump, because no matter what he did for Lori, it was never enough for her mom. Rumors are even swirling that MBJ was ready to put a ring on it and asked Lori to sign a prenup, which is a totally normal thing when you're worth millions. But Marjorie shut it down immediately. She supposedly doesn't believe in prenups. How convenient for someone who's built her whole life on other people's money. So
Thanks, bro. Like, if you don't believe in a prenup, your mom is really teaching you, bro. If you marry somebody that's worth millions and you got money yourself, why not? Why not? I think it's the right thing to do, bro. A prenup, both y'all got something to lose.
Marjorie allegedly convinced Lori to dump Michael and move on to the next rich target. Katt didn't just clap back, he checked her. Marjorie isn't some classy, self-made queen. She's a calculated operator who built her whole life off positioning, timing, and men. And when Katt put that mirror up, it wasn't just shade, it was exposure. He stripped the illusion, called out the manipulation, and made it clear that Steve isn't leading anything. He's being led. So after all that, the kingpins, the FBI, the abandoned ex-wives, the manipulated court cases, and Marjorie walking away without consequences every single time, do y'all really think Steve is calling any shots in that house? Or is he just Marjorie's puppet? And how do you feel about Katt's theory that these comedians have to sign a contract that comes with a light-skinned wife? Drop your takes in the comments and...
Bro, I think Katt is right, bro. Because if you look back, a lot of successful people, they have very high-tone, light-skinned wives that's in Hollywood or white women. Kanye West said it in one of his songs, bro. The Good Life. No, not The Good Life, but she gives me money when I'm in need. He like, and then one of his bars was like, and then he fall off, and then he get back on, and then leave your ass for a white girl. That's what Kanye West said, bro. So I think it wasn't being like a racist card type of thing. It was just Kanye telling everybody how Hollywood is. And now it's showing, it's showing. And it's factual. You can look at it and tell. It's factual. That's crazy. Whoever want to go to Hollywood nowadays, bro, y'all are Holly weird for real, just like the rest of them. I would not set a foot in Hollywood. All the things that we've heard, the rituals, and that's crazy. Reconsider.